name is Rebecca Craver, and I'm the director for the Commission on Congregational Development. And I have with me two leaders with the Bethel Series from Friedberg Moravian Church. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Bethel and why they participated and why they think you should too. So, can you introduce yourselves?
Yes, I am Jeannine Bradley.
And I'm Patti Clerico.
Great. And so tell us a little bit about what is Bethel?
Bethel, and I don't know whether this is a Bethel or this is a Pastor Steve Craver, who we both studied under, is his, but it's a picture to the puzzle. And you use that picture to put all those pieces of the Bible together that we've learned along life's way, whether it's in Bible school as a child or Sunday school or teaching as we became adults or devotions or study. They're all just little pieces to that puzzle, and then Bethel gives us that picture that we begin to form together. So that's what it's been for me.
And what about for you?
For me, it's so many things, it's really hard to pin any one thing down, but the best thing for me is that it really showed how the Bible is one story, not two, and how interwoven the Old and New Testaments are to prove that it is one story, and how it enables us to speak out. It empowers us to know more, to connect with our minister as he's preaching, to know exactly what he's talking about, where it's from, and pull even more areas in the Bible, what he's talking about. It just gives us so much more knowledge. Even if you think that you really know the Bible, and I did, I thought that I was very knowledgeable about the Bible until I did Bethel, the intensive. And then I found out, oh my, there's so much more. And it was just amazing.
We had so many, and we still do, Bethel moments during church. I would look over at Jeannine, she'd look at me, we just, we're far away. We just want to jump up and say, Bethel, Bethel.
Yes.
And I've had ones that have taken our class have done the same thing. One was Sarah Brain in your class.
Yes.
And that thunder comes to me still daily after church. Did you get it? Did you see Bethel?
And you just miss that if you don't take that deep, dig under and learn those things. It's marvelous.
And just tactically, if you attend a Bethel class, how long does it take? And what is the commitment to be a part
The
of
intensive.
Yeah.
It's a commitment.
Is it 2 years?
It's 2 years, whether it's intensive or congregational. First year is Old Testament. It's divided into trimesters, 7 each. There's 20 lessons. You do 7 each trimester. The first one's got 7, but you only do 6 lessons because you have an introduction. And then you go into the New Testament with the same setup, trimesters and 7 each. So it takes you 2 years.
But it's worth it because you learn so much more. It's not every single little detail, but the lessons that you do study are very important. The very key notes that you need to know, and then what's underneath those notes.
But as I understand it, to be a part of a Bethel class, you have to commit to the whole 2 years, and you meet once a week during the trimesters.
It depends on which class you're talking about. If you commit to the intensive, you commit to 2 years, and you also commit to teach after that. The congregational, I think that it is designed to be a commitment for the 2 years as well. But it is not nearly as in-depth, and there's not nearly as much study time involved. There's not the memorization, the projects. I mean, we had to pick a king. Our favorite king in the Old Testament, we had to, where we were at, with Steve, we had to dress up and, do a project and present a play, well, mini play. But it was so much fun to do that. The Congregational is much less. The intensive is 2 hours each week in class, 2.5 hours each week, and probably 10 or so hours of study a week, or it was for me, and lots of memorization.
Tests.
And tests, yeah, I remember.
Tests and essays, and had to be interviewed by Steve to see if maybe, it wasn't just I think I'll do that. A real commitment.
So what was it about Bethel that got you excited enough to make that kind of commitment, and what do you think you got from it?
I was at a point in my life, I had retired and then retired again a second time from something else, and I knew I wanted something, and I finally figured out what that something was. I wanted Bible knowledge. I wanted to know what these pastors get up there and preach and just knew, and they'd give you the background, but I wanted the background. So I had been searching. I thought about some Bible classes, and I was looking around, and here was this insert in our bulletin, and I waited till the last Sunday because I wasn't sure, and then I still wasn't sure what I'd gotten myself into, even after talking to Pastor Steve when he called. I remember standing out front the first night of class, but the door was locked, and Jenny Craver and Pastor Steve Craver were there, and I began to understand I don't have to teach after this class. Well, I'm a teacher, no problem, but I can't teach the Bible. That's not what I teach. And so I stood there and I was overwhelmed. For many, many weeks, I was overwhelmed with everything. And the intensive is intensive, but don't shy away from it. Oh, just so much. It has really made a difference in my life. It really has. Wonderful.
And for me, I just have always had a thirst for God's Word, always. And when this was presented, and the way in which it was presented, it just sounded exactly like something that I would love. And the study time didn't really bother me, but the memorization was a real stumbling block. Even as far back as the 3rd grade, I can remember my dad taping the multiplication tables, and I would say it by rote, just trying to memorize. I still can't say the multiplication tables to this day. I just never could memorize. So that was tough. And then the teaching part, I have never taught. So I told Pastor Steve I was really going to have to pray about it, and that I would get back to him. And I did. And the desire and the urge were still just as pressing. And so, I prayed and I asked God, I said, if you'll take over the memorization, if you'll take that part, I'll do the other, and we'll talk about the teaching later. Because that's 2.5 years away.
Right.
We'll talk about that later. But if you'll take over the memorization, I'll do my very best on the studying. And, it's truly, and I've told Patti, I said, it's just a real miracle, because I memorized everything effortlessly. I mean, he took care of it. He really did.
Yeah.
So that class and the byproducts of that class have been the best part of my life.
That's really high praise for a syllabus, really, of study in the Bible. That's really wonderful. What is one thing that you think people who might be considering Bethel as an option in their congregation, what's one thing that you would say that is not to be missed, that you just think is maybe a selling point to share it with their congregation to get people excited about the opportunity of a Bethel series in their congregation?
I think one thing to understand is that there is a difference in the intensive and the congregational. The congregational, hopefully they're going to have the same type of commitment. The demands are not as great. The material is the same. It's the same book. But don't shy away, because we've talked about tests and memorization. You can take the congregational and then be ready to take the intensive later. That's what my husband wants
That's
to
true.
do. And it makes it a little easier for you. But I think that's something to really keep in mind. The congregational can be as intensive as you want it to be. I tried to induce mine to memorize some as they went through by doing different things, but they didn't have to. And the other thing too with the congregational, doing the trimesters, and hopefully if you have this going on in your church all the time, if you hit life stuff problems, which we both did
during the intensive.
Yes. But in the congregational, it's easy to get an example. This last trimester in the New Testament, I picked up one of the other gentlemen that took class with us on top, two of his that had to drop out because mother had passed away and they couldn't finish. Well, they came right back in on the lesson and finished up with me. So that's the beauty of it, because life is going to happen. And it hits us hard sometimes to where we cannot do it and have to drop out. Well, hopefully then the next time that it comes around, you can jump into it at the point that you left off and you can finish the 2 years. It may take you a little longer, but you'll get through both the New Testament and Old Testament.
That's really important to note, that just because it's a high commitment doesn't mean that there's not some flexibility for you to be able to.
And it provides teachers. I mean, we need Bible understanding, grounded teachers. Not that we don't have them now, but taking this class, you have a deeper understanding of His Word, and we need those people in our churches so badly.
Not just in the teaching aspect of it, but I think Pastor C brought up the fact that sitting in a board meeting and elders or trustees, as you're making decisions, if you've got that background of the Bible, then you're making your decisions according to
His
God's
Word.
Word. So I think that it spills over into all the church.
It shows that the Bible is essential,
Mm-hmm.
and it enables us as His people. It emboldens us. It does so many things for us to be able to turn around and do for Him.
That's really wonderful. I'm just so grateful for you sharing just a little bit about your experience with Bethel. We're doing a whole series on different ways that people can engage with Bible study, because we agree that I think there are so many people who are thirsty for learning more about the Bible and understanding. And this is one really wonderful way to explore that and to get deeper into what does the Word say and how do we use it to shape our lives in the way that Jesus would teach us to go. So it's so wonderful to have you share your story a little bit, and we're so grateful for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, we appreciate it.